Have you ever found yourself in the middle of the day just juggling a dozen things that aren't even yours? You know the feeling. You're calming a friend down after a breakup, you're trying to solve your partner's work crisis, and you're the designated peacemaker for all the family drama, all while your own to-do list is just sitting there, getting longer and longer. If you feel like you are the responsible one for everybody else's happiness, well, you're not alone, and I'm willing to bet you're exhausted. So today, we're going to talk about what happens when a woman finally decides to put down that weight. I want you to just let this question sink in for a second. Seriously, what if the world doesn't fall apart if you stop? What if the very act of you trying to fix everything for everyone is what's actually breaking you down? Asking this one question, well, it's the key to unlocking a totally different way of living. You know this scene, right? The phone rings, you drop absolutely everything. And just like that, you're the therapist, you're the cheerleader, you're the comeback strategist. You're absorbing all their pain and trying to piece together a solution for them. I mean, it's what a good friend does, isn't it? Or hey, maybe it's your partner. They come home, they're frustrated about something at the office, and before you even know what's happening, you're not just listening anymore, you're brainstorming. You're editing their emails. You're practically mapping out their next career move. All of a sudden, their stress has become your project to manage. And then, of course, there's family. You're the mediator, the go-between, the one who has to remember all the birthdays and smooth over all the ruffled feathers. You carry the entire emotional load for everyone. And you've gotten so good at it that most people don't even notice it's happening. But you feel it, you definitely feel it. All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're gonna name the fixer pattern. Then we're gonna get into how you even got here in the first place, because I promise you, it is not your fault. Then we'll look at the hidden costs, the huge turning point, and finally, a really powerful new way forward, becoming the lighthouse. So let's dive right in by giving this thing a name. We're not talking about some kind of personality flaw here. What we're talking about is a learned pattern of behavior. And it almost always starts from a really beautiful, compassionate place, the desire to help. But it can twist into something compulsive, something totally unsustainable. So the fixer mentality, it's this deep, deep belief that it's your job to manage other people's feelings and their problems. This is the very definition of carrying the mental load or performing constant emotional labor. It's driven by this really powerful impulse to solve and to rescue. But it's a role that forces you to constantly shove your own needs to the back burner until eventually your whole sense of worth gets tangled up in how useful you are to other people. And we have to make a really critical distinction here. You see, healthy caregiving is amazing. It's about supporting someone while still trusting them to handle their own life. It's a true partnership. But compulsive fixing is something else entirely. Psychologists often call this codependent caretaking, and it's when you take over. You accidentally send this message that says, you can't handle this without me. And that creates this really unhealthy dynamic where you're the hero and they're the victim. And that is absolutely not a relationship of equals.
So how did you even learn this pattern? Look, it is so important to understand that this is not some character defect. For most women, becoming the fixer was actually a brilliant and totally necessary survival strategy that you learned a long, long time ago. Let's look at the roots, because they usually go deep. A lot of the time, it starts in childhood. Maybe you grew up in a chaotic home, so you learned to be the good kid, just to keep the peace. You figured out that managing everyone else's emotions was the key to your own safety. Or maybe you learned that love wasn't just a given, it was something you had to earn by being useful. You add that to all the societal pressure that tells women they should be selfless, and then you sprinkle in a deep-seated fear of abandonment, and you've got the perfect recipe for a fixer. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. People-pleasing isn't actually about making other people happy. It's about your nervous system trying to keep you safe. See, your brain learned a long time ago that if you can keep everyone around you calm and happy, then you won't get hurt, you won't get abandoned, you won't be rejected. That intense guilt you feel when you even think about saying no, that's not just a feeling, it's a biological danger signal that your body is sending up. So this strategy kept you safe in the past, right? But what's it costing you now? The great irony of being the fixer is that in your effort to hold everything together for everybody else, you often start to fall apart yourself. And the costs, they are incredibly high. The biggest chunk of the pie here, no surprise, is just burnout and pure exhaustion. You are running on empty. Then comes resentment. That's that quiet, simmering anger that builds up when your efforts aren't even noticed, let alone matched. Over time, you can literally lose your own identity. You know what everyone else wants and needs, but you have no idea what you want. And the craziest part? It can actually stifle the very relationships you're trying so hard to save.
And this right here, this is the central paradox of it all. Every single time you swoop in to rescue someone, you are robbing them of the chance to learn, to grow, and to build their own resilience. You're teaching them that they don't have to solve their own problems because, hey, you'll always be there to do it for them. And in that process, your own dreams, your own needs, your own self, they just fade into the background.
But then, something happens. It's usually not one big thing, but more of a slow burn that finally hits a tipping point. It's that moment of burnout, of resentment just boiling over when a woman realizes she just cannot do it anymore. And this isn't an act of giving up. No way. It's an act of taking herself back. That's not mine to fix. This sentence, it becomes the new mantra. 5 simple words that are somehow both terrifying and incredibly liberating at the same time. Saying this, first to yourself and then eventually out loud to others, is the first most powerful step. It's drawing a line in the sand and saying, I will no longer be responsible for managing another adult's life, their choices, or their feelings.
Okay, I gotta be honest with you here. When you stop, it is not easy at first. There's going to be some turbulence. People who are used to you fixing everything for them, they might push back. They might get angry or call you selfish or try to guilt you back into your old role. And that internal alarm system we talked about, oh yeah, it is gonna be screaming at you. But, and this is a big but, if you can ride out that initial storm, what's waiting on the other side is true freedom. It's relationships built on respect, not dependency. It's having energy for your own life. It's finally getting to meet yourself again.
So if you're not the fixer, then who are you? Let's talk about a new metaphor, a new identity that's powerful, supportive, and actually sustainable. We're going to talk about the shift from being a rescuer to becoming the lighthouse. Just think about what a lighthouse does for a minute. It doesn't freak out in a storm. It doesn't leave its post and swim out to rescue every single boat. It just stands there, anchored, strong, and it shines its light. It offers guidance, a point of reference, a beacon of safety, but it trusts the captains of the ships to navigate their own way through the storm. This is your new role.
Okay, so how do you actually do this? First, you just have to recognize that compulsive urge to jump in. When you feel it rise up, just pause. Second, you learn to observe their problem without absorbing it. Their crisis is not your crisis. Third, and this is a game changer, you offer your presence, not your solutions. This just means you can listen, you can validate their feelings, but you don't take on their problem as your own. And finally, you have to trust their journey. You have to truly believe that they are capable and resilient enough to handle their own lives.
You know, having some simple scripts in your back pocket can make all the difference when you're starting out. If someone asks for immediate help, instead of dropping everything, try saying, I can't right now, but I trust you'll figure it out. Do you hear the empowerment in that second half? If someone's just venting, instead of giving them a 10-point action plan, just say, I hear you and I'm here for you. It offers connection without you taking control. And when someone pushes back on your no, you don't need a better excuse. My answer is still no is a full and complete sentence.
I really want to leave you with this crucial reframe. When you start setting these boundaries, you are going to feel uncomfortable. You are going to feel guilty. Your nervous system is going to scream at you that you are doing something dangerous. Please remember this, that discomfort is not a warning sign to turn back. It is the feeling of your world expanding. It is literally the sensation of growth.
And that leads us to the final question. Just imagine for a moment, all the time, all the energy, all the mental space you currently spend fixing everyone else's lives, what if all of that came flooding back to you? What would you do with it? What dream would you finally chase? What business would you build? Who would you become? That is what's waiting for you on the other side of fixing.